Hey everyone, I'm Chris. I recently had a chance to sit down with a good friend Kathy and do an interview based on some of the questions that have been coming up over the campaign for the last few weeks. Whether the questions were campaign related or just about our personal life and what's going on. We've took portions of that video and of that interview that we're going to roll out, and so this is one of those portions. We hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Well, another question with regard to that is, what would you say to people that think you've only jumped into this race in order to support the sheriff?
Right. I think, and I've heard it from a variety of different standpoints, and it's a valid question. I understand. It's not one, I think some people thought that it was one that I would take offense to. It's very understandable because I have worked closely with the sheriff. I've worked for the sheriff's office, and honestly, I consider him to be a close friend. I think we've shared the same vision for a lot of different things in terms of how we can serve our community, how we can partner with different civic groups and different groups within the community, how we can be open and transparent with information, and how we can serve children. That's one of the reasons that I took an interest in Jeep Fest whenever it was offered as an opportunity years ago to serve above and beyond. It's beyond my normal hours. It ends up being into the next 40 hours a week for that time period. But those are things that I share with him, and so because of that, it's been very public. I've also had a role within the agency as the spokesman, so there's no way to try to separate from those things. My interest in serving my community is way beyond my desire to serve at the sheriff's office. It's something that started as a Boy Scout in my teenage years and has kind of carried forward through there, so it's an interest in serving our community. So I think the biggest question a lot of people bring up is more on a budget side of things. I think that the question that I've heard or the comment that I've heard from others is that there would be an open checkbook to the sheriff, and that's just absolutely not the case. One is that I'm running for a position to serve on a board of commissioners that makes budgetary decisions, not an individual board member, but as a board, those decisions are made based on the needs of all the different departments and being able to try to meet those needs and being able to try to do those different things. What I do believe needs to happen that's different, and it's the same promise that I would make to the sheriff, that I would make to the clerk of the court, to the magistrate judge, probate judge, any other elected official, is they need a voice in that process. They need to be able to sit down and have a voice in that process earlier on. And I know we talked about the budget side earlier. So when it comes to the finances, that equal voice being carried forward throughout the year could kind of prevent some of the different things of whether it's finger pointing or wherever the blame may lay. So I think that that's one area that I would say would definitely, in my opinion, improve, would be trying to bring those people together so that we can understand what those needs are from a budgetary standpoint. And when you look back over the past SPLOST, for instance, then we're wrapping up in June of this year. We'll finish up the last 5-year SPLOST that was there. And you look at the percentage basis of what the sheriff's office received with their equipment needs versus the percentage of departments that were managed by the Board of Commissioners, there was a significant disparity in where that was. So those needs weren't factored in that particular category. I think that was partially modified for the upcoming SPLOST that was just voted on, so the new 6-year SPLOST that was in place at this point in time. So I think that it's been shown throughout that we need to find a way that that's collectively, because those type things can offset the needs for budget increases or for anything of that nature. So I understand the question. I get the validity. I think that people that know me, that know my heart, that have known me from long before I started at the sheriff's office would know that it's to serve something way bigger. Yes, my role for the last 12 years has been to serve the sheriff's office. That's been my job. It's to fulfill a role within that position. What I'm running for is to be able to be involved in something much broader, and that's just a small component. If you want to factor it from a budgetary standpoint, it's 25% of the component. The remaining 75% needs equal attention. So it's not something that's on my radar in terms of trying to give anybody any more favor. I think that same question has brought up a term that has been used in a wide variety when they talk about the good old boy system, and they talk about looking at what the good old boy system is. And I do think that there have been times and instances where that is something that needs to be drawn out, but I don't think just because somebody's local or just because somebody knows or is friends with anybody is what that is designed to be used for. Good old boy is more trying to do favors for people that may not deserve those favors, and that's not something that I'm involved in. It's not something that I have any interest in. I share a vision for making Pickens County a better community, period. And if others want to jump in and try to make that same vision come true, then I'm going to work closely with those people. It's not for favoritism. It's just because I want to have a common goal of us making our community the best it can possibly be. Our citizens deserve it just as much as any other community that's out there.